Hello, welcome to my channel. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. So today I'm doing something a little bit different. I am doing a true crime and illustration video where I illustrate something that is semi-connected to the story while telling you about a true crime story. So today I will be discussing H.H. Holmes and his murder castle. It is a pretty freaky story. If you have any kids watching with you, I would highly suggest saving this video for later and watching it at a later time. It is definitely not for children and their sweet, innocent little ears. It's a very gruesome story. So, and as I tell this story, I mean absolute no disrespect to any of the people I am speaking about. This is to educate you guys and for true crime junkies like myself. I found the story kind of interesting. It was set in it was between 1861 and 1893 when it happened. So yeah, it was definitely pretty crazy. I think H.H. Holmes got away with some stuff he definitely wouldn't today. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so the murder castle and H.H. Holmes. This is a very whacked out, messed up story. I mean, I guess all true crime stories are. But yeah, this one's pretty bad. So Holmes was born May 16th, 1861 in New Hampshire. He was born to a very affluent family, and he grew up with a very privileged childhood. So his name was not actually Holmes when he was born. It was Herman Webster Mudgett, but he obviously went on to later change his name. So as a kid, he was very interested in the medical field. He would kill animals, dissect them, and perform surgeries on them. So at the very young age of 16, Holmes married his wife, Clara Loving, and very soon after they had their son Robert. And when Robert was probably about 4, Holmes started going to school at the University of Michigan and enrolled in their medical program. So while he was in school, he would work at the anatomy lab. And this is where he really became a con artist, and he developed those skills to be a con artist because he would commit insurance fraud by using the identities of the cadavers. And I mean, like, I don't know how you'd get away with that, especially in today's time, but I guess like the 1800s were far different. And it's just crazy. So while he was like doing this and was going to school, him and Clara and their son were living in a house with a couple of roommates, and the roommates stated that Holmes was treating Clara very violently, and there was just a lot of domestic issues going on, I think. And so Clara finally ended up putting her foot down and just saying, I'm out, I'm leaving, like I'm not doing this anymore, and dipped. And I'm assuming took Robert with her, thank goodness. You know, she was one smart woman. I would have dipped too. Like, this was only the tip of the iceberg for what Holmes was gonna do. So after he graduated school and his wife had dipped, he moved to Pennsylvania, where he got a job at a drugstore. And while working at this drugstore, there was a little boy who sadly passed away due to some medicine that was purchased at the store. And when asked about it, Holmes said that he had absolutely no involvement, but yet left the city like immediately after. So, I mean, that seems pretty fishy, in my opinion, don't you? So, after he left Pennsylvania, he moved to Chicago, and that's where he changed his last name to Holmes, or changed his name to Holmes. And it was said that he changed his name to Holmes to kind of make sure that he wasn't going to be linked to any of his past indiscretions. But I also read that the reason he picked the name Holmes was because he had a fascination with Sherlock Holmes. I would say that was pretty ironic, if you ask me. And so after he had moved to Chicago and changed his name, he took another job at another drugstore, where he eventually ended up purchasing the drugstore from the original owner and his wife. There were like a ton of rumors that he had killed the original owner and the owner's wife, but it came up that it didn't actually happen. It was just that, and was a rumor. So Holmes ran that drugstore for a while, and then decided to buy an empty lot that was directly across from the drugstore. And he built a 2-story building with shops on the ground level and apartments on the second level. And in 1892, he built a 3rd floor that was said to be a hotel for all of the people traveling to Chicago for the World Fair in 1893. So these hotel rooms on the 3rd floor, and I guess he did it to the 2nd floor apartment rooms as well, he soundproofed them and installed like trap doors and chutes that led to the basement. And the staircases and the hallways in this building were also designed to be very maze-like, and it is said that some of the hallways just led nowhere. And he did this because he wanted to disorient his victims, so if they did happen to get away from him, that they were already traumatized. There was already a lot of adrenaline going on, so trying to get out and, running into a hallway that led nowhere, obviously they wouldn't get away from him, which is just really sad. So, the 2nd-story rooms were converted into the more elaborate torture rooms, and these rooms also had chutes that led to the basement, and Holmes would drop his victims from these chutes, and the victims would land in the basement where he would finish them off. So the basement was claimed to have vats of acid, quicklime, and a crematorium so that he could dispose of his victims. I don't know what kind of sick-minded person it takes to think of this. I can't even imagine. It's just so wrong. So Holmes later took on an assistant by the name of Benjamin Pitzel. Holmes used Pitzel as his right-hand man, and they committed insurance fraud together, and Pitzel also helped with the disposal of Holmes' victims. And Holmes went on to actually sign the deed of the murder house over to Pitzel. Probably, if I had to guess, Holmes was just trying to cover his butt here and make it seem, I don't know, he wasn't connected, but documentation would say he was. So I'm not sure what his thought process in doing this was, but anyways, so in 1894, some police officers grew very suspicious of this whole situation and of this, murder castle, and decided while Holmes was out one day to actually do an inspection. And they found, the trap doors, the chutes leading to the basement. They found, all sorts of like torture equipment, and just really it made them go, this just isn't right. Like, this is not normal. This is not okay. Like, this is definitely not a hotel and apartment building, So, shortly after that, the murder castle was burned down. Very, very suspicious there. And it was said that it was an unknown arson. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it was Holmes. What do you guys think? Because, yeah, it seems a little... What would this man not do at this point? Like, come on. So after all this went down and the murder castle was burned to the ground, and obviously there was, some like suspicious, behavior going on, and authorities were becoming, more aware of it. So Pitzel and Holmes came up with a plan where Pitzel would fake his own death, and Holmes and Pitzel's wife, Carrie, would receive the insurance money from Pitzel faking his own death. And that was like the game plan. But Holmes, being Holmes, decided to deviate from that game plan and ended up chloroforming Pitzel and running off with his wife, Carrie. Yes, great friend right there, huh? And he ran off with Carrie and their 5 kids, telling, under the false pretenses that Pitzel was hiding in London, which obviously was not even remotely true. And so Holmes, soon after they had left, suggested to Carrie that she work on tracking down Pitzel and meet him in London. And on the route that he sent her, he had set up alibis and people who would say, yeah, this is where Pitzel's at, and basically just verify Holmes' story. And so Carrie took her 2 youngest children with her, and then Holmes took the 3 older children with him. Not entirely sure why, she let that happen, or why they made that decision, because, yeah, it doesn't seem like it'll end well. So, Holmes and the 3 Pitzel children, anyways, traveled, from Chicago to Toronto, making some pit stops here and there, committing a few, like, very small grade crimes on their way. And once they got to Toronto, Holmes decided to rent a home there. I guess he thought he was going to be there for a little while. And he ended up killing the 3 older Pitzel children. So there were 2 girls and a boy. He forced the 2 girls into a trunk where they very sadly passed due to asphyxiation from a hose that he had attached to the trunk that ran to a gas line. So he ended up burying their bodies in the backyard of the home that he was renting. And at this point, I think Carrie began, obviously she didn't know what was going on, but I think she began to catch on a little bit that, I'm kind of going on a wild goose chase here, something's not right. And so Holmes also killed the son, and he did this by purchasing some medicine from a drugstore, and I'm assuming it was tainted, and that is how he killed the son. And he went on to chop the son's body into pieces and burn him. So pretty messed up, pretty dark, just I told you guys that this story was pretty messed up, so I warned ya. And so at this point, there was an investigator that had kind of been tracking Holmes, and his name was Frank Grier. And finally, Holmes' murdering spree ended November 17th, 1894, when Grier ended up arresting him on a fairly small charge. The charge was that Holmes left a horse outside of a building or something in Texas. I know, it's super random. It's super, super random. But once again, probably one of the very small crimes that Holmes committed going from Chicago to Toronto. So, I don't know. Okay. And so at that point, he was found guilty of the murdering the 3 Pitzel children, and he actually ended up confessing to 27 more murders. And but they were only able to find evidence on 9 and confirm those 9 murders. But it was also rumored that he actually ended up killing 200 people. But once again, that could have been just a rumor. I mean, look back on when the rumor, was stated about him killing the drugstore shop owners. So, I mean, obviously, this dude did not, have a good rep, and it seemed that rumors and stuff were flying everywhere, but there was clearly very large truth to his heinous, horrible ways. So, at least he got arrested. He was hung 2 years later for those crimes, and the story was dark, guys. The story was very dark. So, anyways, that is a wrap on the story about H.H. Holmes and the murder castle. Thank you so much for watching my video. I just wanted to let you know that the illustration that you saw while I was telling that story is on sale in my shop on my website, dhillustrations.com. And if you message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, I will link those below as well, showing me a picture that you subscribe to my channel, I will give you $2 off from the illustration if you are looking to purchase it. And I will see you guys in my next video.